The Door Was Open the Whole Time by Preston Landers. Dose 1020 milligrams of oral DXM. 1998. This is for some of you who may or may not be interested in what happened to me last Saturday night just before, during, and after ingesting 1020 milligrams of DXM. Note that it's written in a slightly bizarre John Lennon-esque style and may be hard to follow. I wrote it for a few of my friends, so there are just a few references that you won't understand. Here goes. Hello, friends. Yesterday I was feeling a touch lethargic. I had woken up only around 2 p.m. and generally felt like a lazy bum. I messed around for a while on the computer, reading email and news. Well, not really a while, because I emerged from a semi-comatose state at around 6 p.m. I decided shutting the computer off would be the wise thing to do at that point, so that is what happened. Grabbing a bite or 10 from the cafeteria, I pondered the slogan of Gesture Cafeteria. What you don't know can't hurt you. I didn't know what I was eating, so it didn't hurt me, unless you count starch overload and gaseous pain as bad, which I don't. Upon returning to my room, I arrived. The roommate of mine, Mr. James, was entirely present at once, giving studying a go of it. James, I lamented. I said at the time. Studying on a Saturday night. Yeah, he said, noting that he did not say yeah, but more of a yeah, with a long sound. I seated myself on the seat in frontwise of the computer and flicky the switch that turned it on. Reading the news and mail for even more longer periods of time, I morosed at my situation again. Spotting the presence of many Drixerol cough caps in my desk drawer, I suddenly developed a rather severe cough requiring immediately medical attendinitis. Writing myself a prescription is wont to help being the situation as it pleased me so. I consumed the pills regularly quick. Putting clothes on, naked was I this whole time, rendered me fully clothed, and I discovered that my ears were detecting strains of bizarre religious Korean music wafting from a box adorning Mr. James's desk. Thinking this won't do, I said, quietly determined to find my own tunes. I put on the headphones and started to play the music of all. Quickly finding the bright light unappealing, and noticing I was on the higher floor of the dorm, I elected to far away to a more pastoral climb. Gathering my belongings into a green bag that materialized in my paws, I forgot to include a wonderfully handy mini-mag light that would have solved woeful problems I encountered later in the evening. Note the clever use of foreshadowing in the previous passage. I included amongst these materials a Walkman and tapes of various important American rock and roll bands, the devil's music, as it were. Also was cigarettes and the important useful lighter, black in color. I considered flooding my guitar into my pocket and percolating that too, but the acoustics were suffering as a result of the stuffage, so I left saying, "Goodbye, Mr. James, I will see you later." Shaky swagger down the hall, stopping to release bladderfuls of concerns into porcelain. My heart was heavy and my eyes were dim as I realized it was almost 45 minutes since ingesting the medicine, and the effectiveness were starting to notice upon me. I stepped outside into the lovely cool air, noting the temperature was neither hot nor cold. It seemed to me to be like one of the oft-remembered nights on the town of Incline Yor. I stooped beneath an old oak tree, adorning the lawn at the center of East 21st Street, Austin, Texas, 78705-9005 postal code, and the nearby adjacent San Juanito Street. I smoked a filthy cancer stick, noting that the taste was unusually pleasantly remindful of smoking past with the combination of the evil grass leaf, cannabis sativa. You see, I usually smoked Camel Special Lights, trademark, rights reserved, along with the bad marijuana and the taste is remindful as I was smoking the self-same ciggies last night. The music was continually playing note after note in my left and right ear, being the dead, who are ironically alive, playing a lovely China Cat Sunflower, I Know You Rider, which is lovely. The notes started to close my eyes, and I rode along the golden crest of waves. Simply sitting under the tree was the time, first of all, that I realized that the miniature mag light would have been useful to sort my assortment of unsorted musical tapes, as it was dark. I decided to move myself closer to the light source, illuminating and perched high Humpty Dumpty style on a wall of sorts, near to and overlooking the street aforementioned. Many people passed nearby, but never touching, as this was a busy sort of street, near many dorms, including the one in which I lived. I looked at the popple, but touching it was not done. Bored getting was I, though. I had only barely begun to trip out. In the U of T, there is a feature architecturally or landscaping known in some circles, considered to be a South Mall, to which I decided to rest my bones. In front of the largest penis in the state of Texas is a large lawn named the South Mall. At the north end of the South Lawn is a statuesque of Jefferson, who is also holding a dildo in his left hand. This is true. Across the lawn is clearly visible the state capital of Texas, forming a large line across the city of Austin, Texas. Walking wise the mile or less to this site seemed to take a longishly short amount of time, as my feet moved very, very fast, it seemed. I knew at this point that the effects of my cough medication were takingly effects. I found the South Mall where I left it from last time, which was Friday. I walked across the ocean of green, though sort of blue in the fluorescent and moonlight, grass, to the exact center of the lawn. I was now part of the line betweenwixt the aforementioned objects. Laying on the underside of my back, I noticed the Milky Way galaxy was lining up to me too. My rain falls like crazy fingers. I straightening out my possessions, including the hat atop my head, blocking my access to the ground. If not for hair, we would all be bald, so be thankful. Many times when you are thinking about the earthy, you picture your place being that one of a flat area plain. Rarely is it an enticing thought to actually see yourself in a round sphere at the apex. Well, my friends, at this point in the tale, I will draw a diagram. Slash. Figure 2, me. Slash. Figure 3, near a star. Slash. Figure 1, the Earth. In other words, I was sitting at the very nearest point of the Earth to the point in space I was looking straight up at. Believe me, it took a long time to draw that stupid Earth figure 1. I don't even know what figs have to do with it. I thought of Summer also at that instant, though I'm not sure what connection he has here at this time. I flipped the tape over and listened to Loser. No, not the recent Dylan-esque pop bubblegum classique recorded by the late Beck, but the old Dead song. I'm telling you now, in just a second, that the guitar solo was more than I had heard. Wow. Well, I just told you. I flipped the tape over and started hearing the following song that I heard, which was Good Lovin', and I Got Some. Following that was the drum solo, and that was wild, so I was just a-groovin' to everything. I lit up another ciggy, and noticed the taste was even more lovelier than before. I beheld that I only had a few left, so I had best conserve them, lest I run out before the night was through. So this will be the last one for a while, was my line of thought here. Now, here comes the crux of the story, or the je ne sais toi, or the climax, if you are sexually obsessed. I don't know what I did with the lighter. I mayhaps have tossed it aside into the yon fields of grass, or stuffed it into a nook and or a cranny, or put it aside. But the being point I was making is that it's gone. No light and no smoke. I realize this as drums goes back into good lovin'. Finally the words start again, and aghast I say out loud to myself, this was all one song? I thought it was, well, more songs, I said. I looky at the peoples walking about on a proustly Saturday night. Many of them are perhaps wondering to themselves as, who is this guy on the grass anyways? Or, damn, my last joint. Or, perhaps is, I wonder if that guy on the grass has a really bad cough or something. But the answer was for none to see. Rather surprising at one point was when a guy walking merrily about his way down the Bath suddenly stooped and did a cartwheel. As this person was now spinning about a purple axis, I wondered, did my eyes just deceive me, or did that person's suddenest spin around a pooply axis, bold as love? Such recriminations were most in order as I heard Dancing in the Streets and Morning Dew in the next order. I had by now rolled around considerably on the grass and perplexing the poor stuff. It felt rather soft and nice to my trippy hands. Finally, I took out my dead 5.270 tape and put in the Beatles' own Blue Album collection of song materials. Listening to Strawberry Fields Forever as I surveyed the surrounding architecture, I noticed a large church religious shire near. Thinking the original Strawberry Fields was religious related in Liverpoldian, I floated up and down the lawn lamenting the lack of personages familiar to me. Penny Lane was in my ears and in my eyes, beneath the dark star-filled sky. I did discover the missingosity of my beloved lighter used to create fire. I spent quite a long, unfortunate time searching for this piece of machinery. It was becoming the focal point of my existence. As all of the people currently reading this epic poem have been under the influence of the evil marijuana plant, can attest to this feces. Looking for something when stoned is bad news. Everythingly seems to take over while you wonder, did I look here before? I searched my green bag which was laying leisurely near me. I searched my pockets and my jacket and the ground near me, but the lighter had mysteriously vanished into the nether lighter realm. Eventually drugging the passages of A Day in the Life, I gave up my quest, temporarily, and gathered my remaining belongings and walked up to the north. Wondering a bit with nothing to do, I felt the need to urinate again. After all, I had drank quite a bit of liquids in revealing the Drixerols to my stomach. So headed to the nearest building, which happened to be the undergrad library, which happened to be closed. I proceeded to the next building, which was the infamous Student Union, upon entering. Mostly it was closed as well, but some areas of the large structurally were open for business of any ports. Finding it very difficult to walk at this time, I turned off my headphones. It seemed that the bass line of All You Need Is Love was affecting the movements of my feet in such a way that made walking impossible. The walls were beginning to melt, and Greg Brady was emerging from the woodwork in a way I wish he wouldn't. Feeling okay soda for the moment, though, I thought about where I found a bathroom on my summer vacation, near the bowling alley. Bowling alley? No bowling alley in a student union, were there? Sure enough there was. It was quite packed with youngsters enjoying all sorts of sports involving throwing heavy balls at white pins. Luckily for me, the balls of all sorts were evading my head and extremities, but not for long. I wondered how could that last. After all, I was standing in the alley, as they termed it, for throwing the balls at the pins. Cries of, "Hey, what's that moron think he's doing?" and "Get out of the way, dummy," accompanied my fusillade. Jimping merrily, dodging heavy black spheres, I foundest my way to the pretty potty. Ah, relief, I shouted, as the stream of pee-pee failed to erupt. Oh yeah, I thought, I gotta turn it on. And so it were. I urinated most merrily. My lighter, I thought, is still missing. Perhaps I could find it by the light of my faithful dog, Cragsmere. The sauna bathroom light provided the illumination necessary to to conduct another investigation into the whereabouts of the light, but no further progress was made. A freak was in the bathroom with me. I could hardly see the poor man, though, as cough pills tend to alleviate that nasty vision thing, and he was melting and falling to bits, as it were. Ruminating, should I help the fellow get back together in one piece? No, fuck him, I shouted, and ran out of the room. It was a bathroom. Struggling to find my way to the street, I came across an endless field. It shimmered and shimmied for a moment, and a bus stop filled the void. A bus came by, and I got on. That's where it all began. There was a cowboy named Neil at the wheel of the bus, to never ever land. Finally, tumbledown, I reached to the end of the Union and emerged blaspheming into the street. Music resumed playing at this time. Goo Goo Ga Joob was the rallying cry. Surely my eyes aren't deceiving me, but I swore this girlie that I knew from way back on the island walks by and says hello, as she is wont to do. Me, as I was fiddling with stuff, didn't realize it until after the time, but I said hello anyway. Who knew? Maybe next year I will get a right hook too. Walking down Guadalupe, the drag. Why a drag it was, too. I found myself in the West Mall this time, which is different from the South Mall in that it plays to the west rather than southerly, and this place has little to no grass here. Turn that damn guitar down. Well, I float in liquid gardens and Arizona's new red sands. I sat to recoup and gain my senses and possibly replace the tape I am playing with. Sitting on the bench, my eyes become rather bizarrely oriented. Have you seen the films of the science fiction? It is somewhat approximately like that. A small roving portion of my eye becomes distinctly focused and magnificationally wise. I use this newfound superpower for the darndest of deeds, to look for that darned lighter again. Instead, my roving eye focuses in on a steady stream of ants coming this way. Now I hate ants dearly, and I stand up to avoid them at all costs. Sure enough, one clings to my hand, which I shake off. Finding another place to stand, I realized that my music was not playing the correct notes. Oftentimes, the notes were slower than intended, so I replaced the batteries. This is hard with one hand, one hook, and a 34 Drixterals, and select a new tape, one with a mix of many bands. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball. By now I'm surely an adjective described as peaking, and since I have lost my lighter, I am near the point of crying tears. My vision is not so good as because things are dripping and rearranging right before my eyes. Surely not an effect of the psychedelic drugs? I decide to make my way gently and slowly into my home-time abode. I wonder, what time is it? So I check my watch to find out the answer to this lovely question. It seems the watch face has melted onto my wrist. It is therefore impossible to find out the time. But fortunately, the U of T, A, is equipped with an extra-large penis, as noted before. This penis chimes out the hour every hour on the hour. I find it to be by now 12 midnightly by my reckoning. I found my way back to the South Mall and gave the damn grass a once more going over to find my lighter. No luck, so I lay down on the grass. My body quite literally melts into the earth, leaving the essence of my soul clinging to the ground like a vapor. However, perhaps the source of this disturbance can be found. You see, I cannot verily go to French class on Monday if my body has melted into the earth, can I now? The music goes out of space. For those of ye who don't know, a very bizarre sound effects weird thing done at dead shows, and into a song, The Other One. The guitar notes emerging from space into Other One is the life force that slowly ebbs back into my body. It rises from the ground, engulfs my body, and I rise from the dead, so to speak. I was very pleased that my soul found a home again, because I had a paper due in English coming up, and it's hard to type if your soul's body has melted into the ground. I decide now would be a good time to return sightly home again. I make my way back to the lovely Moore Hill dorm, my home. Smoking, in Francis fumar, is verboten dans el universido, so you have to smoke your daga outside. I cleft a ciggy to my lips and learn again that I have no light. Damn. However, there is a stud-nut run radio station in the next building. Some nasty hippie kids are standing by the door smoking, so I figure how can I get a light from them? Being near them would be a good start. I try to be near them, but they have disappeared. They are gone. I go back to my corner of the universe, and sure enough, there they are again. I'm afraid that I cannot speak, so I forget about the whole situation and smoke an unlit cig. Making my way inside and up to my room, I put the key in the lock and twist and turn for ages. Finally, the door is aghast, and Mr. James is standing, looking perplexed. The door was open the whole time, he scowls at me. Oh, still studying? I ask nonchalantly, but I am given away. I was speaking a foul alien tongue, and now he knows. Yeah, but then he leaves, so I am left alone. I run into the shower and cleanse myself. This is a difficult task while still frying fully. Several times I have to remind the water to behave itself. Eventually I am done and return to my room. I turn the light off and sit down on the bed. For the first time that night, I realize exactly what went on, that I was tripping, etc. I think I have come down, but not completely. I turn on the music again and relax to the edifying tunes of music. I fall asleep of bliss and think, tomorrow I will write my mates and remind them of my learnings and travels.